Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.
In Seattle, the cost of groceries is about 30% higher today than before the pandemic.
Across the country, there's been no relief as food costs keep rising. A recent Associated Press poll shows more than half of Americans consider grocery costs to be a major source of stress.
Those high prices are straining family budgets and causing many people to change how they shop.
Come with me to do my weekly budget grocery haul. We're a family of 4 living in Washington State, and we shop at Winco, where you have to bag your own groceries.
It's going to be a realistic grocery haul for a very broke person living in Seattle. I buy everything on sale. I buy the cheapest version of everything.
What do you do when the sticker shock at the grocery store becomes permanent? From KUOW in Seattle, this is Booming. I'm Joshua McNichols.
And I'm Monica Nicholsberg. Today, creative hacks for putting food on the table when your dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. That's coming up.
Okay. Come on, let's go. We need way more stuff than this.
We don't take check.
Yeah, I mean, are people really paying for their groceries with checks still?
And they're fake. Yeah.
Hey, Monica.
Hey, Joshua.
So I snuck out to the grocery store this morning because I needed some milk, and I wanted to get some cereal while I was there, too. And I found the cereal I wanted. It said family size, even though it was just a tiny little box. And it was $7.50.
Yep.
So what's going on?
The short answer, COVID. Prices skyrocketed during the pandemic, as I'm sure you remember, and they never really came down after that.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
A few things contributed to grocery inflation at the time. There were supply chain shocks, panic buying, and then later, stimulus checks meant a lot of money was flowing around in the economy. And unfortunately, a lot of price pressure still exists in the food world. There's extreme weather, there are labor shortages, rising wages. Farmers have been complaining about higher costs for years, and that's not getting any better. And then more recently, President Trump's tariffs seem to be affecting food prices to some extent. And people got to eat, they keep spending, they keep going to the grocery store, so there's not much incentive to bring prices down.
Yeah.
Inflation is increasing more slowly today than it was then, but it's still persistent. So for all of those reasons, you can't really expect your grocery bill to go back to pre-pandemic levels. And you don't have to be a reporter covering this to know it's a big issue for everyone. I feel like I have so many conversations in my personal life that's just like, how much are you spending every week on groceries? But it is also something that I wanted to kind of put my reporter hat on for. So I've also been talking to sources.
Okay, so what are people telling you about how they're dealing with this?
Well, we asked our listeners to get in touch with us and tell us their hacks for saving money in this really difficult economy. And the answers ranged from sincere to kind of snarky. We got some responses like having a good cry, stealing from big chains, and someone who just said, this is a joke, right? Which, you gotta admit, paints a picture of the economic reality that we're living in right now.
Okay, so that's snarky. What about the real solutions people are finding?
There were some good tips in there. One listener said they use an app called Too Good to Go, and that helps people connect with restaurants and grocery stores that have surplus food that they're offering at a discount. A lot of folks talked about no longer eating out at restaurants and just meal prepping at home so that they can take advantage of bulk pricing. But even that is becoming difficult for a lot of families because it's still a drain on their finances. So people are looking for cheaper options. Several of them said that they're shopping more at discount stores like Grocery Outlet or even dollar stores.
Dollar stores? I think a lot of people might not realize dollar stores have groceries.
I know, you probably wouldn't think that you could put a whole meal together from a dollar store. But they do have some frozen and non-perishable grocery items. And one of the people who responded to our call out actually said that they follow this account on social media called Dollar Tree Dinners.
Dollar Tree Dinners.
Yeah, so these videos show how to make a family-sized meal out of groceries that are exclusively purchased from a dollar store. Huh. And it turns out the creator behind these accounts is local.
I usually have a budget, like a $10 something or other, and then I'll kind of go in there and see, what catches my eye, or if there's anything that seems interesting or new or something I can kind of build off of.
Her name is Rebecca Chobot, and she lives about 40 minutes north of Seattle in Arlington.
So she's spending $10 per meal. How many people can she feed for that?
She tries to make it so that her meals can feed at least 4 to 6 people.
So what's her strategy?
Well, she has to be pretty creative and flexible. She can't really decide what she's going to make until she goes into the store because they don't have a reliable inventory.
Yeah, and it's different every time?
Yeah. She showed me her process.
Let's grab a basket.
We went to a dollar store in her neighborhood, and it had one aisle of canned and packaged foods and then one small freezer section. So sometimes she'll try to start with a protein.
This is like the $1.25 fridge. So if I were to try to look for a meat here, I've really got hot dogs and smoked sausage.
We went over to the freezer section and she started looking at some of the different meat options that they had there, but they're kind of expensive.
But usually I'm working with a $10 budget. I can't really put 3 of that towards the protein.
So she ended up going with canned chicken, which is $1.25 per can, and then zeroed in on these packets of Spanish rice. She said she always tries to find something that's pre-seasoned because then you don't have to pay separately for all of the seasonings.
Okay, so she got canned chicken and rice. Sounds pretty basic. What did she end up making?
Yeah, so at this point she has a starch and a protein.
So I'm kind of thinking in terms of like a skillet meal here.
She's still looking for a veggie. She kind of zeroed in on this Tex-Mex style flavor profile and found a can of green chilies and tomatoes.
Black beans. And then from here, we've got the base for the meal, and I really like to try to make them as flavorful as possible and like as appealing as possible. So usually I would add some cheese.
But the cheese was too expensive, so she went with a sauce and some crunchy tortilla strips to go on top.
To add some color and some texture into it. So there's my 8 ingredients, and we should be right around $10 to make like a Tex-Mex skillet meal with a cilantro lime sauce and crunchy tortilla strips.
Nice. That looks good.
Yeah.
This feels like a perfect stunt for social media.
Yeah, and it's working. She has 3.5 million followers on TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah.
With that many followers, she probably makes enough money that she doesn't need to do this anymore, right?
Right. She sees this as more of a service that she does for her followers. She doesn't need to shop this way anymore, but she used to.
When I was in my early 20s, I was in a position where I had to donate plasma in order to be able to afford groceries. And so I only had $30, $40 a week. And I thought back to that time and that Rebecca and what she could have benefited from.
She figured she'd try to make a meal this way and put it online just for fun. Then her second or third video went totally viral. And she thinks part of the reason it took off was the timing. She started posting these videos in 2021, 2022, when the pandemic was driving food prices up like crazy. Back then, dollar store items really were $1 each. But around the time she started Dollar Tree Dinners, that changed. They had to raise prices.
Yeah, so I guess you can't get 10 items for $10 anymore.
Right, which is why she picked 8 things when we went shopping together. Even bargain stores aren't immune to inflation pressure and rising costs. I mean, we saw this firsthand at the store. As we were checking out, a couple of cashiers started talking about it.
Spend more money, they don't have more money to spend.
They started talking about the type of customers who come in looking for groceries, a lot of elderly folks on fixed incomes. And then they were lamenting the fact that the whole grocery aisle was about to go up from $1.25 per item to $1.50 per item.
Yeah.
For everything?
I don't know exactly what. I think the whole food aisle. Yeah.
I reached out to Dollar Tree to confirm that, and they didn't respond, but the cashiers seemed to think it was imminent, and one of them was actually in the process of changing price tags.
So is Rebecca going to increase her budget?
She's thought about it, but just because prices go up, it doesn't necessarily mean people have more to spend. A lot of her followers are not in a position where they can make more money. A lot of them are on fixed incomes.
So it's going to be limiting, but I'm still going to make it work as best as I can because that's what people come to me for.
Rebecca has found a really big audience with the type of people that you might expect to lean on dollar stores for groceries. Elderly people, low-income folks, and people in food deserts, places where there are no grocery stores, where a dollar store is the only place for many miles that you can get groceries. But they're not the only people who are starting to shop this way.
So more people are shopping at dollar stores.
For groceries, yeah. Dollar stores are booming, and higher income households are actually driving that growth.
Higher income households?
Yeah, so on Dollar Tree's December earnings call, they talked about this. Millions of new customers started shopping at Dollar Tree in the third quarter, and about 60% of those new customers had household incomes of more than $100,000 a year.
That is really interesting. People earning over $100,000 a year are shopping at dollar stores for dinners. It just drives home how the affordability crisis is hitting everybody, even households making that much money.
Yeah, it really does. The cost of basically every essential has gone up in the past few years. And that means that $100,000 a year doesn't really go as far as it used to.
Right. But dollar store grocery aisles, you mentioned they don't have fresh food. And it's the people who shop there then have to rely on these ultra processed foods, this prepackaged box of, minute rice and seasonings and stuff like that. Just to play devil's advocate for a minute, like when I go to the grocery store, like I can buy a russet potato for less than $1.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really savvy, you might be able to get a comparable grocery bill on a really tight budget. But the thing is, if you've got a family of 4, you might need 4 potatoes, and then you might need toppings, so you're not just eating plain potatoes.
Yeah.
And there's another point I want to make here, which is that money isn't the only resource that we're talking about. You could potentially buy bulk beans or maybe roast a chicken at the beginning of the week and use it for your protein for every meal. But then you need the time to soak your beans, to cook your meal. And you also need the knowledge of how to cook those things. Not to mention, you need to have a grocery store that's close enough that you can get the ingredients. We talked about food deserts. Those things are not accessible to a lot of people.
Fair enough.
But there are some hacks beyond what we've already talked about for getting the most bang for your buck at a regular grocery store. In a past episode of Booming, I chatted with James McCafferty about this. He's an economist at Western Washington University, and he oversees this team that studies the cost of common goods. He said that his staff, since doing this research, has started shopping at a bunch of different stores at different times to try to game out the best deal.
The more expensive days in groceries are always going to be across the weekend, and it's because historically it's been harder for them to get inventory in. So your highest prices typically in groceries are always Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Your least expensive days are always typically Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
I've actually started doing this. I'll stop into Trader Joe's on Wednesdays on my way home from work. Although I haven't actually sat down to compare the cost of exactly the same items on Wednesdays and Sundays. I should probably do that. But in the meantime, I'm just kind of taking James's word for it.
Yeah, I'll have to try that. But that would mean finding time during my work week. And I don't know. I know not everybody has the flexibility to squeeze in a Wednesday morning shopping trip.
Yeah, time is a resource, just like we talked about. There's no perfect solution here, but James says that timing your shopping trips like this can be worth it.
Shop a variety of stores. Go to stores you wouldn't normally go to and just check some basic prices on things. You can find yourself with cutting your grocery bill significantly just by changing the day of week and perhaps the grocery store you're going to. And that's real money at the end of the day.
Yeah, real money. Thanks for bringing us this story, Monica.
Happy to.
Coming up next, the end game.
Are you dreading increasingly shorter days and longer nights? Do cold, overcast Northwest winters bum you out? You may be suffering from the big dark, but there is a solution. I'm Dyer Oxley, telling you to talk to your podcast app about Meet Me Here, KUOW's arts podcast, a weekly dose of events and culture to lighten up your life. Side effects of Meet Me Here include laughter, curiosity, and inspiration. Find Meet Me Here on your local KUOW app or wherever you get your podcast.
All right, it's time for the end game. Welcome back. And Lucy Suchek is here to tell us about it.
Yes, this is a very fun one. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, me too.
So we did a little grocery shopping experiment. I'm just going to lay out the rules. You guys already know them, but for our listeners who don't know them. Basically, this weekend, I sent you out to shop at the normal grocery store that you usually shop at. and you had a task. And the task was to make a meal for your family. And each meal had to have a protein, a vegetable, and a starch. And there were 2 goals here, 2 categories for the competition. The first is the overall price. So it needed to be as cheap as possible. The second is how well received it was by the family. So it also had to taste delicious.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Monica, I want to hear about your journey. Tell us what happened.
All right. I'm taking James's advice. So I went to Trader Joe's on a Wednesday. I decided to take James's advice there. And I also had Rebecca's strategy in my mind. So first, I started with the protein, and I looked for something that was pre-seasoned to try to get some flavor but save a little money. The beef was very expensive, but there were pre-seasoned chicken thighs for like $7. So now I've got this like lemony, herby chicken, and my mind went to maybe kind of like a shawarma, pita pocket style thing. Pita bread, because I think we could kind of lean a little bit Mediterranean here. They do. Okay. Pita bread is $2.50. I should stop here and say that a little bit of a challenge is I typically try to pick an organic option if they have one, if I'm going to feed it to my kids. And so I went with the whole wheat organic pita pockets, which I think were about $2.50, a little more expensive. Then I went to go pick up cucumbers, but then I was like, I want tomatoes and cucumbers. They both are kind of blowing up my budget. So I had a brilliant idea. I remembered that Trader Joe's has this tzatziki sauce that has cucumbers in it. So I got that.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I got a pack of tomatoes for $3 a pint, and then I wanted feta, so that was kind of an extra thing that I added on. Cheapest organic tomatoes are $3 for a pint. Oh my gosh, okay. Well, all dreams of doing this for $10 or $15 are probably out the window, but I'm gonna go for it. I was hoping to maybe do it for $10 at first, immediately abandoned that goal. Then I was like $20, which I also failed at. My total was $23.31.
$23.31. Okay. I think I beat you on price.
Yeah, I figured that you might. And I was thinking like I could probably do this more bare bones, but then would my kids eat it?
Right.
They love chicken. They're not, trying to get them to do the non-meat proteins is a little bit more of a hurdle. So it was a good experience, a good exercise in like all of the trade-offs that we always have to make at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Okay, Joshua, tell me about your process.
Okay, my daughter's a older teenager. She's the pickiest eater in our family. So I kind of built this meal around her a little bit. We did our shopping together, and I let her kind of guide me. She was kind of invested in the cheapness of it, too. So it was a fun father-daughter experience.
That's sweet.
I started with a protein, and I went to a town and country market. It's a kind of a local chain. People think that they're really expensive, but they often have really good deals. And so I started with a protein, and because it was Super Bowl weekend when I was recording it, they had pre-seasoned uncooked ribs for $2.98 a pound.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So I got a little over a pound, which was honestly a little bit skimpy for our family. But and if we'd had 4, it would have been really skimpy. But it was just enough for us for just a little over $3.
So how many ribs did each person end up getting?
2, and then one person got 3.
Okay. Were you the person who got 3?
I can't remember who ate the third one, honestly. And then we went to the vegetable aisle, and broccoli was the cheapest, but my daughter really wanted cauliflower, so I bought a whole head of cauliflower, and honestly, that was my splurge. It cost me $4. And then we went to the bulk section, and I got some bulk spices, this Korean garlic, sesame salt kind of thing.
Yum.
And I tossed one of our rules was we got oil for free. Like we could use the oil already in our kitchen. So I tossed the cauliflower bits with this oil and this seasoning powder. And also from the bulk section, I bought basically 1.25 cups of rice, just white rice. And then I got some soy sauce packets from the sushi bar when I didn't buy any actual sushi.
Oh, you stole the soy sauce packets.
I stole them.
Okay. You were in it to win it.
And then I wanted just a little bit more brightness, a little more fruit, so I splurged on a heirloom navel orange, which cost me $1.
The orange. How did the orange incorporate into the meal?
Oh, it was just a side thing.
Just a side of orange.
On the side of the plate. So you want to see how much we spent? So all in all, this cost me...
Wow, $11.40. That's really good.
$11.40.
That's like $3.80 a person.
Yeah, because there's 3 of us.
Very impressive. Okay, well, here's an interesting thing. You were really being very lean about your portion sizes, like 1.5 cups of rice. Or Was it rice?
Yeah, but
Like-
when you cook it, it fluffs up, obviously.
Sure, but my boys, that just would not fly with them. They get very unhappy if I serve them small portions. And I do have leftovers now that will become parts of other meals. So I feel like, I know that was outside of the parameters of this game, but if we're just thinking about value, something to note.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was thinking, should I buy more for leftovers, and I was able to hold back because I was buying in bulk. But, it's also, it probably would be cheaper to buy a much bigger bag of rice, for example.
Right.
Buying from the bulk section is a great hack.
Yeah, especially with spices, because like a little bag of spice will cost like 26 cents or something. It's ridiculous.
Right. And Trader Joe's doesn't have a bulk section. It does, I think, tend to have cheaper prices overall than Town and Country, but trade-offs.
Yeah.
Okay, so Monica spent $23.31 and Joshua spent $11.40. Joshua won the first category.
Yay!
He blew me out of the water.
Half the price of your meal.
Wow.
All right, second category. This is just as important, is how well received it was by the family.
Purely subjective. We established no criteria, but I can at least play you what they said.
Okay.
And I feel like before I do, I should note that the baby is teething, and so he hates everything that he puts in his mouth.
Okay.
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
Okay. I'm glad you like it. What about you? Do you like the food? Okay. 2 out of 3. 2 said it was delicious. 1 cried.
Okay. That's not bad. It's not bad.
And I am very confident that the baby would have loved it if not for the teething. And he did keep trying to eat it even though it hurt his mouth and he cried. So
that's a win.
Yeah.
Joshua, what did your family think?
So I didn't quite do it. Did you rate yours, Monica, out of 10, or what do you think?
Nope. No, it was a delicious, not delicious scale.
Okay, so I had my family rate them out of 10, and I got a C. I mean, yeah, the truth is I oversalted the cauliflower because, the seasoning had salt in it, and then I added salt, and I just went a little overboard with it. But so it kind of cramped my ratings a little bit, but my wife gave it 7.5.
7.5? Okay.
Only because it's not like a comfort food meal for me. I'm a recovered vegetarian, and so meat on the bone is always a little bit of a but it was really delicious, and I appreciate you taking it off the bone for me. So.
And then my daughter gave it, she said, a solid 6 out of 10.
Harsh critic.
Oh, 6. What? That's not bad. That's above average. Like 6.5 maybe.
All right.
I thought it was good. I mean, it's not like a spectacular meal, but it's delicious and it's filling.
At least you know that they're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You can always count on kids for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you both one question. Did you learn anything from this experiment?
Yeah, I learned how good cauliflower can be if you don't oversalt it.
I love cauliflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that just kept coming up for me, both in this reporting, in this experiment, honestly, every time I go to the grocery store, is how much compromising it takes these days. You can compromise on price, but then potentially have smaller portions. You can try to shop organic, but then it's going to be more expensive. You can try to shop in bulk, but it's more money up front that you're then parsing out throughout the week or month. And it's just a lot of emotional labor for somebody who's trying to feed a family and do all the other things at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this game, Lucy. That was really fun. And for our listeners, if you want to try making a $10 meal, send us a photo of what you put together. You can send it to booming@kuow.org. And that's it for our show. Thanks for listening. And special thanks this week to Juan Pablo Chiquiza and Zeki Hamid for helping us collect listener comments.
We also want to thank those of you who are donating to the show. These donations are the foundation for everything that KUOW does, and we really couldn't do it without them. If you want to donate, you can go to kuow.org/booming, and thanks.
Yeah. Our producers are Alec Cowan and Lucy Suchek. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Joshua McNichols.
I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
And we'll see you next time.
Everything is expensive in Seattle. But when it comes to restaurants, I got a lot of tricks and tips up my sleeve to help diners eat well in this city. I'm Ton Ben, host of Seattle Eats, a food podcast from the Seattle Times and KUOW, part of the NPR network. I'll share about the latest buzz in the Seattle food scene, like the hottest openings and the best bites that are worth your money. Listen now to Seattle Eats on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.